Dear listeners, before we get started, drop a quick hi in the comments and let us know where you're tuning in from. Also, if you have any suggestions for us to make the channel better, please let us know. Now let's start with the story. My name is Edwin. I am 29-year-old. I grew up in a small town, the kind of place where folks still left their doors unlocked and waved when they drove by, even if you'd seen them 5 minutes ago at the gas station. Not much ever really happened around here. You went to school with the same kids from kindergarten to senior year, and everyone knew your business whether you liked it or not. In a town like that, friendships weren't just friendships. They were stitched into the fabric of your whole life. That's where Liam came in. Liam, 29 like me, wasn't just my best friend, he was basically my brother. We met back in second grade. We'd gotten into this dumb argument over who could swing higher on the playground. The teacher broke it up and made us sit together at lunch to learn to get along. I remember glaring at him across that sticky cafeteria table, arms folded, refusing to talk until he finally broke the silence. He'd looked straight at me and said, "You know you only won because the wind helped you." I'd scoffed. "Nah, you just chickened out." He cracked a grin, then shrugged. "Maybe." And that was it. Somehow, that was the start of a friendship that never really ended. We did everything together. Sleepovers turned into late-night gaming marathons, one of us nodding off with a controller still in hand. Summers were all scraped knees and sunburns from building bike ramps in his backyard and trying to jump them until one of us wiped out. Usually him, to be honest. In high school, we played on the same sports teams, chased after the same crushes, even daydreamed about moving to the city together after graduation. Life had other plans, though. I went off to college for IT, while Liam stayed behind, working odd jobs and trying to figure things out. We kept in touch. Every holiday when I came home, it was like nothing had changed. When I finally moved back for work a few years ago, it was easy to fall back into our old rhythm. Liam was still bouncing between different jobs, but I didn't care. He was my best friend, the guy who always had my back, no matter what. Then there was Sophia. I met her at a friend's big summer barbecue, the kind where half the town shows up. I wasn't really looking for anything serious then, but the second we started talking, I was hooked. She had this energy about her, like you were the only person in the world when she looked at you. Confident, quick-witted, effortlessly charming. She could jump into any conversation and have the entire group hanging on her every word. I still remember our first conversation by the grill. "So, how do you know Josh?" she asked, handing me a soda from the cooler without me even asking. "Played baseball with him in high school," I said. "What about you?" She grinned, leaning in a little closer. "Cousin, but don't hold it against me." I laughed. "I'll try not to." Then she gave me that look, like she was already reading my mind. "You from around here?" "Yeah." I nodded, taking a sip. "Left for a few years for college. Just moved back." "That explains the button-down shirt," she teased, giving me a playful nudge. I looked down at my shirt and shook my head, smiling. "Too obvious." "Little bit," she said, with a wink that damn near knocked the wind out of me. We ended up talking for hours about everything: music, travel, work, even dumb childhood stories. The sun went down, the fire pit came on, and we just clicked. It was effortless. Before the night ended, she handed me her number, bold as anything, without me even asking. "Don't waste it," she told me, flashing that confident grin again. Things moved fast after that, but it never felt rushed. Our relationship just felt natural. We had this easy rhythm, Sophia and me. Late-night drives, windows down, the radio just barely loud enough to drown out our off-key singing. Deep conversations about life and dreams and fears, the kind of talks that made you feel seen. We laughed at terrible movies, making up our own ridiculous plot twists halfway through. Everything just fit. Yeah, it wasn't perfect. We had our little disagreements, stupid stuff, like who left the dishes in the sink or what movie to watch, but nothing major, nothing that ever made me question what we had. So when I proposed to her after a year of dating, I was sure, absolutely sure. I never thought, even for a second, that I could be wrong. One of the things I loved most about Sophia was how easily she clicked with my friends, especially Liam. When she met him at that first barbecue, they hit it off right away, not in a way that felt sketchy, just easy. That was Liam for you. The guy had this knack for putting people at ease, making them laugh within minutes. I remember him pointing at me that day, smirking. "You know Edwin once tried to eat an entire jar of jalapenos on a dare in high school." Sophia's eyes went wide. "Seriously?" I groaned, covering my face. "Liam, don't start." She burst out laughing. "That explains why you flinch around spicy food." "Hey," I protested, "that was one time." She shot right back. "Legendary fail, I'm guessing?" They went back and forth like that, cracking jokes and teasing me, and it honestly made me happy. Watching the two most important people in my life connect like that felt good. The three of us hung out all the time after that, and it never once struck me as a bad thing. Liam was the life of the party. He could make friends with a brick wall if he wanted to. And Sophia had this quick wit that matched him blow for blow, their playful, sarcastic banter never crossing any lines. If anything, I was grateful they got along so well. Liam wasn't just my best friend, he was family. I trusted him with my life. There was this one night, about 6 months before the wedding, that I still think about. Sophia and I were stretched out on the couch, half watching some dumb reality dating show. She'd been quiet for a while, and I could feel that shift, that sense when someone's about to drop something heavy. Finally, she spoke, staring up at the ceiling. I don't know if I'll ever be able to have kids. I turned toward her, completely thrown. What? She took a breath, like she'd been carrying this for ages. I never told you this, but a few years ago a doctor told me I might be, infertile. Something about my hormones being off. She said it like it was already a wound that had scarred over, something she'd grieved on her own long before she met me. And hearing it made my chest hurt for her. I reached out, took her hand. Sophia, that doesn't change anything. She looked at me then, eyes searching, almost bracing for me to flinch or pull away. I just didn't want you to be disappointed, she said, her voice breaking a little. I squeezed her hand tighter, shaking my head. I love you. I told her, steady and certain. We can figure things out together. And I meant it, every single word. We didn't really talk about it much after that night on the couch, about the kids thing. But it stuck with me. Late at night, lying awake, I'd catch myself wondering how much pain Sophia had hidden behind that strong, confident front she always wore. It made me love her even more, somehow. Life kept rolling forward. Wedding planning was a full-time job in itself, and work was steady enough that I couldn't complain. Things just felt good. Liam was there through all of it, like always, helping me pick out suits, cracking jokes about how miserable I was going to be once I was officially tied down. Typical Liam best man nonsense. He even stepped up to help Sophia with some wedding details, like finding a DJ and picking out flower arrangements. I trusted both of them completely. I was just happy, genuinely happy, to be marrying the woman I loved, with my best friend right by my side. Then there was that night. It was nothing special, just one of our usual group hangouts, 7 of us at our favorite dive bar, the one with the sticky floors and the neon sign that had been flickering since high school. We were catching up, cracking jokes, blowing off steam. Sophia was next to me, deep in conversation with one of the girls about wedding stuff, and Liam was across from us going on about some story from work. I wasn't paying that much attention, just sipping my beer and half listening, until something caught my eye. I saw Sophia reach across the table to grab something, a napkin maybe, or her drink, and her hand brushed against Liam's arm. It was quick. So quick it shouldn't have meant anything. But something about it felt off. It wasn't the touch itself, accidents happen, but the way Liam reacted. He froze for just a split second, like he'd short-circuited, then forced a laugh, jumping right back into whatever story he was telling. And Sophia? She pulled her hand back so fast it was like she'd touched a hot stove, tucking her hair behind her ear in that nervous, distracted way I'd only ever seen a couple of times. For a second my stomach twisted, but I told myself I was being ridiculous. Paranoid. I was probably just reading too much into a nothing moment. So I tried to let it go. The next few weeks felt normal, almost too normal. Sophia and I were busy with final wedding stuff, and Liam was still around, still cracking jokes and acting like his usual self. But every time we hung out, he'd bring up this new idea out of nowhere. I've been thinking, he said one night while we grabbed burgers after a long day of errands. I looked up from my basket of fries. Dangerous, I teased. He grinned, but then leaned forward, serious. What if we started something together? Like a small business? I nearly choked. A business? Yeah, man. You're good with all that tech stuff, right? And I know my way around people, sales, networking, all that. We could do something, I don't know, digital services maybe. Websites, marketing, that kind of thing. I gave him a look because, well, it was Liam. He always had ideas, half-baked schemes that never made it past a few doodles on a napkin. The problem was never dreaming. It was finishing. Dude, I said, trying to be gentle, that kind of thing takes serious money to start. And I don't think either of us. I paused, choosing my words carefully, because I didn't want to shoot him down too hard. Could fund most of it to start. I blinked, taken off guard. Wait, what? Liam leaned in a bit, all casual. You make good money, Edwin. It wouldn't even be that big of an investment for you. There it was. For a second I just stared at him, trying to process the fact that he was actually serious. He really expected me to put my money into something when he hadn't held a steady job for more than 6 months at a time. I let out a short laugh, trying to brush it off. Man, you know how these things go. You gotta have capital, a business plan, projections, all that stuff. I try to keep my tone light, maybe down the line, but I can't be throwing money into something just to see what happens. Liam forced a smile, but something in his eyes didn't match it. Yeah, I get it, he said, too casually. I didn't think much of it right then, but looking back, that was the moment. The moment he started resenting me. I just hadn't realized it yet. Not long after, Sophia started acting different. Nothing huge, nothing anyone else would have noticed, but I did. It was small things at first. She started texting more, which wasn't weird by itself, but she'd glance at her phone, smile in this subtle way, then flip it over so I couldn't see. It was a little thing, but it felt off. Then she started locking her phone again. Not some huge betrayal. We'd always been open with each other's phones if one of us needed to check something or grab directions. Suddenly, it was off limits. If I reached for her phone to check the time or something, she'd laugh and pull it away. Hey, private messages, mister, she'd tease. And she wasn't wrong. People have their own private stuff. But it hadn't been a thing before, and now it was. That change alone was enough to stick in my head. Then she started canceling plans. One Friday night, we were supposed to have a movie night. Just the two of us, some takeout, nothing fancy. At the last second she texted me. Hey babe, I'm exhausted. Rain check, love you. I didn't think much of it. Long week, right? But later, I called her just to check in. No answer. No big deal. Maybe she was asleep already. But then I saw her Instagram story. A fancy-looking dessert, candlelight, captioned, needed a night out. I tried to tell myself it wasn't proof of anything. Maybe she just changed her mind. Maybe she needed some space. That was fair. But why not just say so? Sophia had never been the type to lie, not even about small stuff. And then there was Liam. He started acting weird, too. Not anything obvious, but I could feel it. He stopped wanting to hang out one-on-one. Before, we'd grab food or chill all the time. But now there was always some excuse. Sorry, bro, gotta help my uncle move. Busy, man, rain check. At first I thought he was just caught up with something, but then during a group hangout he was completely normal, joking, teasing, acting like everything was fine. It felt forced, like he was trying way too hard. That night, after everyone left, Sophia was in the other room, and her phone was sitting on the nightstand, the screen lighting up in the dim glow of our bedroom. It caught my eye. It was just a flash of movement in my peripheral vision. I wasn't even looking for anything. I swear, wasn't even thinking about it. But there it was, lighting up Sophia's phone. Liam, you free to talk later? Not in the group chat. Not some stupid meme or inside joke like usual. A private message. Just between them. I frowned. Sure, Liam and Sophia were friends. They'd always gotten along. But something about the wording stuck with me. Why would he need to ask if she was free? They weren't co-workers trying to schedule a meeting. They weren't planning some big surprise. And if he wanted to talk, he could have just called, right? That was Liam's style. No filter, no hesitation. I could have let it go. Told myself I was overthinking. But there was this tiny alarm going off in the back of my mind. Quiet. Barely there, but impossible to ignore. Later that night, Sophia was in the bathroom brushing her hair, getting ready for bed. I tried to keep my tone light, casual, like it was nothing. Hey, I said, leaning on the doorframe. I saw Liam texted you earlier. What was that about? She paused, just for a second, so quick that if I hadn't been looking right at her, I would have missed it. Oh, yeah, she answered, too easily. He was just asking about some wedding stuff. Wedding stuff? I almost laughed. Liam didn't care about wedding details. He barely remembered his own sister's engagement until the day of the damn ceremony. And if it was about the wedding, why not ask in the group chat like he usually did? But I didn't press. I just nodded, letting the moment slide past. On the outside, I acted normal. But inside I knew something was wrong. I didn't have proof, but the gut feeling was there, coiled tight. I was going to find out what was going on. Now, I'm not the kind of guy who goes through his fiance's phone or blows up over harmless conversations. But once a thought like that gets in your head, it's like a splinter. You can't ignore it. There was this invisible shift between us, and suddenly I noticed everything. Sophia had always been affectionate. She'd grab my hand when we walked, lean into me when we sat together, always close. That started to change. She still said all the right things, still kissed me goodnight, but there was a distance, like she was somewhere else behind her eyes. I tried to tell myself I was imagining it. Just stress, wedding planning, work, all that. Then came that Saturday. We had made plans, just the two of us, to finally spend a day together since wedding prep had been taking up so much time. I was supposed to pick her up at 11, grab lunch, maybe do some shopping, nothing crazy, just a normal day. At 10:45, my phone buzzed. Sophia, hey babe, not feeling great, might stay in today. Can we reschedule? I wasn't going to push. I texted back. Of course. Get some rest. Let me know if you need anything. She sent back a heart emoji, and that was that. No big deal, right? Except later that afternoon, I was scrolling through my phone, killing time, when I saw something that made my stomach drop. Liam had posted an Instagram story. It was just a quick video on Liam's Instagram story, him at some random cafe, filming a lazy little clip of his coffee on the table, panning around to the window. Nothing suspicious on its own. But then, in the faint reflection of the window, there she was. Sophia, sitting right across from him. I stared at my phone, my brain scrambling to make sense of it. She wasn't home. She wasn't resting. She was with him. She had lied to me. My hands were actually shaking. I didn't want to go in blind, throwing out accusations without proof. So instead of blowing up her phone, I decided to wait, to play it cool. That night, around 8, she texted me, feeling a little better. How was your day? My blood was practically boiling. How was my day? I took a deep breath, trying to steady my hands as I typed. Glad you're feeling better. What did you end up doing today? She answered fast, too fast. Mostly just slept, tried to get some work done, but didn't do much. Another lie. Like it cost her nothing to write. I felt sick. It was like the floor had dropped out from under me. I wanted to call her out right then, blow up every lie in her face, but something told me, wait. I needed more than this, more than a blurry window reflection. The next few days, Sophia acted like nothing was wrong. She laughed, asked me about my day, made inside jokes, slipped her arms around me. It all felt fake. And Liam? Same thing. Barely texted, barely made plans, but when we were in the same room, he was putting on a show, all big grins, all jokes, all too much energy. Like he was trying way too hard to seem normal. I had to know the truth. That weekend, I came up with a plan. I told Sophia I had to leave town for a work meeting, something last minute, impossible to reschedule. I waited for her reaction. She barely flinched. Okay, babe. Hope it goes well, she said, smiling too easily, too casual. No hesitation. No, I'll miss you. Nothing. That was it. That was when I knew. I wasn't going anywhere. Instead, I stayed at my buddy's place across town, keeping my head clear, refusing to let my emotions drown me. I wasn't just going to sit there and wonder, I needed proof. That night, I called in a favor. I had another friend drive past my apartment, just to confirm what my gut had already been screaming. At 1 in the morning, my phone buzzed. Liam's car is parked outside. 1 in the morning. What the hell could Liam be doing with my fiancée at 1 in the morning? At my house. My jaw clenched so tight it hurt, but I didn't react. I had already given everything to this relationship, my time, my loyalty, my future. I had been her safe place, the one person who'd never made her doubt, the one who had built a whole life around her, made her my priority, given her the security and love most people spend their whole lives searching for. And this is how she repaid me. The easy way out, that's what it felt like. Sophia had run straight to my best friend behind my back, sneaking around like a coward while still planning to stand next to me at the altar. Pathetic. I could have charged over there that night, kicked the door down, made them both face me, made them squirm under the weight of their own betrayal. But why? What would that accomplish? I already knew the answer. They weren't worth that kind of reaction. No, I needed more than a scene. I needed to hear it straight from her mouth. I wanted her to say it, to own it, to try and spin excuses she had to know wouldn't work on me. The next morning, I went home like nothing had happened. Walked in the door, heart pounding but face calm. Sophia was sitting on the couch, scrolling her phone, looking completely normal. When she saw me, she smiled, got up to hug me like nothing had happened. How was your trip? She asked, voice light, steady. I studied her face for a second, that face I'd loved, that face I thought I'd known. That was when it really hit me, how good she was at lying. I forced a smile. It was fine. Long. She nodded, glancing at her phone again, probably texting him. I sat next to her, careful, measured. So what did you do last night? She didn't even blink. Not much, she said, casual as anything. Just stayed in, watched some shows. Too easy. She was getting comfortable lying to me. I could have ended it right there. Could have pulled the rug out from under her, laid out every ugly detail. But no, I needed to see if she'd give herself away. I waited. But she didn't. No guilt, no confession. She just sat there, scrolling, like nothing had happened. Like I was still the fool who'd believe every word. I couldn't take it anymore. I need to talk to you, I said, letting my voice go flat. She paused, and I saw something flicker behind her eyes, fear. What's wrong? She asked, trying to sound calm, but her hands were fidgeting. I took a deep breath, bracing myself. Are you being honest with me? Her eyes darted, just for a split second. What do you mean? My throat felt like it was closing up. Sophia? I swallowed, voice shaking. I know about you and Liam. Silence. Her face went pale, drained of all color. For one heartbeat, I thought she might actually try to deny it. But then it broke, tears welling up, hands trembling, her breathing uneven. It was a mistake, she blurted, her voice cracking. I didn't react, just stared at her, waiting. She started crying harder, shoulders shaking. It only happened once, she pleaded, like it mattered. Once, I swear. Edwin, I swear on everything once. She was sobbing now, hands covering her face, saying it over and over like it was some kind of prayer that could save her. Like that made it better. Like that changed anything. I felt nothing. Numb. My best friend. My fiancé. The two people I trusted more than anyone else on this planet. I stood up, my voice flat. I need to go. Edwin, please. I didn't wait. I walked out, shutting the door behind me. I didn't care what else she had to say. I was done. 3 weeks passed since I walked out of Sophia's apartment, and I was still trying to pick up the pieces of my life, realizing that everything I thought was solid was actually built on lies. I blocked her number the night I left. Didn't want to hear excuses, didn't want to hear her beg me to understand. There was nothing to understand. She cheated, she lied, that was it. End of story. Liam, though, he'd been dead silent. Not a single text, no call, nothing. I figured he was guilty, or embarrassed, or maybe even relieved that everything was finally out in the open so he didn't have to keep sneaking around anymore. Either way, I told myself I didn't care. I was at work, trying to stay focused, when a random number popped up on my phone. For a second I thought about ignoring it. I almost did, but I answered. Hello. I barely got the word out before her voice came through, raw and shaky. Edwin, please, don't hang up. I pulled the phone away from my ear, closing my eyes, debating whether to just end it right then. But there was something in her tone, not desperate, not exactly, something different. I just need to tell you something. She rushed out, voice cracking. Please. I sighed, pinching the bridge of my nose. What do you want, Sophia? There was a long, trembling breath on the other end. I'm pregnant. Silence. Everything in me just stopped. It was like time froze. I don't even know how long I stood there gripping the phone, my heart slamming against my ribs, my mind refusing to process the words. Finally, I managed to spit it out, voice flat, almost a whisper. No, you're not. I am, she insisted, sniffling. A short, humorless laugh slipped out of me before I could stop it. You told me you were infertile, Sophia. I know, she said quickly. I don't know how this happened, but it did. I was just as shocked as you are, Edwin. Her words crashed into me, but not the way she wanted. I wasn't shocked. I was furious. Because right then, everything clicked. She had never been infertile. She'd never been told she couldn't have kids. She'd taken what was probably a doctor's "it might be difficult" and twisted it into "it's impossible." She'd used that to control everything, to make herself untouchable, so I'd never question it, so I'd never worry about protection. One perfectly placed lie, and she'd kept me exactly where she wanted me. And now, she was on the phone pretending to be just as shocked as I was? Like she wasn't the one pulling the strings from the very beginning? Edwin, she said again, voice breaking, there's a chance it could be yours. My whole body tensed. I should have hung up. I should have told her to deal with it on her own. But the second those words landed, a part of me froze. What if she wasn't lying? What if there really was a chance this kid was mine? What do you want from me? I finally asked, my voice like ice. She trailed off, swallowing hard. I just thought you should know. I didn't answer. I don't expect anything from you, she added quickly, voice trembling. I know I messed up. I'm not asking you to come back. But if there's a chance this baby is yours, I wanted you to hear it from me. I hated that part of me believed her. Hated that despite everything, I couldn't ignore the possibility. Because if there was even a tiny chance this kid was mine, I couldn't just walk away. I hung up. Didn't say a word. The next day, Liam reached out. I was at home, staring at the wall, my brain still scrambled from Sophia's call. Hey man, he said. Like nothing had happened. Like we were just two buddies catching up. My jaw clenched so hard I thought my teeth might crack. What do you want? He paused, voice uneasy. Look, I know I messed up. I should have told you sooner. I didn't know how. I stayed silent, letting him drown in it. She told you, didn't she? Liam tried again. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I don't know what to do, man. I actually laughed at that. A cold, bitter sound. You weren't ready. I repeated, my voice dripping disbelief. Are you serious? I never wanted to hurt you, he stammered. But you did. I know, he muttered, voice small, defeated. Then, after a long beat, he said the one thing that made my blood run cold. I mean, you're in a way better position than me. Maybe it'd be better if it was yours. I pulled the phone away from my ear, staring at it like it had burned me. Then put it back. What did you just say? Nothing, No. Repeat that. Say it again. Liam hesitated, then sighed. Come on, man. I just meant, you've got your job, your place, everything lined up. You'd be able to take care of a kid better than I could. I couldn't even speak. I was so angry. This wasn't guilt. This wasn't an apology. This was him looking for a way out. He didn't want this baby to be his. That's when it clicked. Sophia had called me before she even bothered to call Liam. Not because she cared. Not because she thought I deserved to know. But because she was hoping she could pin this on me. I'm done. I snapped, my voice shaking with rage. Lose my number. And I hung up. I barely slept that night. My brain wouldn't shut off, wouldn't leave me alone. There was a real possibility this wasn't my problem at all, that Liam was the father, that I could wash my hands of the entire disaster. But there was also that small chance that this kid was mine. And no matter how much I wanted to run, I couldn't ignore that possibility. So the next morning, I called Sophia. We're getting a paternity test, I said, flat and cold. She hesitated. Edwin, I don't care what you think, I snapped. I need to know. Either we do this now, or you leave me the hell alone forever. Silence. Then, quietly, okay. I hung up and immediately started researching non-invasive prenatal paternity testing. I wasn't going to wait until after the baby was born to find out if I was getting scammed. I texted her the appointment details, short and blunt. We're doing this. Be there. Hours passed with no reply. My patience was already shredded. Then finally, she texted back. Edwin, I don't think this is necessary. I stared at the screen, pulse hammering. I called her immediately. She picked up on the second ring. Hey, she started, voice soft, like she was about to talk me down from something. What do you mean it's not necessary? I asked, my voice tight. She sighed. I don't think it's a good idea to put the baby through unnecessary stress. I almost laughed. Sophia, it's a blood test. It's not like I'm asking you to do surgery. I know, but I cut her off. But what? There was a long pause. Then, quietly, she said, because I already know it's yours. You don't know that. I do, she insisted. Edwin, I've thought about the timeline, and it just... Are you kidding me? I snapped, my voice breaking with rage. You want me to take your word for it? After you cheated on me? After you spent months lying to my face? She went silent on the other end. That was all I needed. I'll see you at the appointment, I said, voice dead flat, and hung up. I thought that was the end of it. Thought she'd show up, let the test settle this once and for all. I was wrong. 2 days before the appointment, I got a text from Liam. I hadn't spoken to him since I'd nearly laid him out, and I had no desire to ever hear from him again. But there it was, staring me in the face. Don't waste your money on that test. You're not getting out of this. I blinked. Read it again. My pulse spiked, heat crawling up the back of my neck. I called him, hands shaking with fury. He picked up right away. What the hell does that mean? I barked. You heard me, Liam replied, calm. Too calm. The test is a waste of time. You're just dragging things out when you already know the answer. I laughed, a dry, hollow, humorless laugh. You sure about that? Yeah, he said, steady. I am. I rubbed at my temple, trying to hold on to the last thread of patience I had left. Then you shouldn't have any problem taking the test, right? If you're so sure, then let it prove it. Liam let out a harsh breath. This is exactly why Sophia didn't want to tell you, he snapped. My blood boiled over. Oh, is that the story you're going with now? I shot back. That I'm the problem? Not the part where you two snuck around behind my back? Not the part where you both betrayed me? There was silence for a moment. Then he muttered, low. Look, man, this is happening whether you like it or not. And right then, it clicked. They weren't going to take the test. They were going to try to force this on me. My pulse pounded so hard in my ears I could barely hear myself think. You seriously think I'm just going to sit back and let you two dump this on me? Liam scoffed. You don't really have a choice. That's where you're wrong. I hung up on him. Sophia never showed up for the test. I sat in that damn clinic for an hour, stomach twisting into knots, heart pounding every time the door opened. I kept looking up, expecting to see her, expecting her to prove me wrong, but she never came. She didn't answer my texts, didn't pick up my calls. By the time I walked out of there, my hands were shaking with anger. I knew exactly what they were trying to do. They were going to put my name on the birth certificate. They were going to trap me into paying child support, and once that happened, I'd be legally stuck whether I was the father or not. I needed a lawyer. Fast. The next day, I went straight to an attorney, laid the whole mess out on her polished oak desk, the cheating, the pregnancy, the paternity test they refused to take. When I finished, she folded her hands, steady, and said, well, the good news is they can't legally force you to pay anything until paternity is established. I let out a breath I didn't even realize I'd been holding. So if I don't sign anything, I'm in the clear? She hesitated, and my stomach dropped. Not necessarily, she said carefully. I felt my chest tighten. What do you mean? She folded her hands again, her voice steady but firm. Listen, if Sophia puts your name on that birth certificate, and you don't contest it immediately, you could still be held responsible. Even if a DNA test later proves the child isn't yours. I just stared at her, feeling my pulse thunder in my ears. You're telling me I could be legally forced to pay for a kid that isn't mine? It's rare, she admitted, but it's happened. My hands curled into tight fists on top of her polished desk. So what do I do? Her expression turned sharp. All business. You are going to document officially that you do not acknowledge paternity. I'll draft a letter stating clearly that if they try to name you as the father on the birth certificate, you will take legal action against them for fraud. I nodded, swallowing hard, my mind already racing. And if they still do it anyway? She didn't flinch. Then we file immediately for a court-ordered paternity test. And once that proves you're not the father, she allowed herself the faintest smile, we destroy them. I nodded again, making mental notes, hammering the plan into my brain. They wanted to play dirty? Fine. I'd play smarter. The next night, my phone buzzed again. An unknown number. I almost let it ring, but something made me answer. Edwin. I froze. Sophia's mom. Against my better judgment, I stayed on the line. What do you want? She sighed, this long, performative breath, before switching into that sickly sweet voice she'd always used at family gatherings. I just wanted to reach out because I know this has been a stressful time for everyone. I leaned against my kitchen counter, already exhausted. Cut to the chase. She hesitated. Sophia told me about the test. I bit down a bitter laugh. Yeah? And? She's really hurt, you know. She thought you loved her. I barked out an ugly, hollow laugh. Yeah, and she loved me so much she slept with my best friend. Silence. Then, smooth as ever, she tried again. This isn't about the past, Edwin. It's about the baby. I could practically see her rehearsed, pitying face through the phone. You need to do the right thing. The right thing. I repeated. You mean blindly take responsibility for a child that might not even be mine? She didn't even flinch. We both know it's yours, she said, her voice syrupy, oozing confidence. And if you try to fight it, it's only going to make things harder for everyone involved. Especially Sophia. My heart slammed against my ribs. That was blackmail. No other word for it. I felt the walls closing in, my breathing tight, like there wasn't enough air in the room. A year ago, I was planning a future with Sophia, picking out wedding venues, imagining our life together. I trusted her. I believed every single word. I thought she was my partner, my person. Now here I was, standing alone in my kitchen, gripping my phone like it was the only thing tethering me to reality, while her mother tried to manipulate me into a lifelong sentence. Was I really this stupid? Was I that blind? I swallowed hard, fighting to keep the rage from breaking loose, while she stayed so confident, so calm, like they'd already decided for me, like my feelings, my choices, my entire life didn't matter. Like I was just a name on a birth certificate. A paycheck. I wanted to scream, to ask her how she could stand there and defend her daughter after everything she'd done. But deep down, I already knew the answer. This wasn't about truth, or right, or wrong. It was about control. And I'd be damned if I let them take that from me. I forced my voice steady. We'll see. Then I hung up. As soon as I set my phone down, I texted Sophia without even hesitating. If you or your family try to list me as the father on any official documents, I will take legal action against you for paternity fraud. No response. Not stopping there, I fired off the same message to Liam. His reply came back faster than I could blink. Chill, dude. No one's trying to screw you over. That almost made me throw my phone against the wall. No one's trying to screw you over? That was exactly what they were trying to do, pin me down, tie me to their mess, and use my life as their safety net. Ignoring his pathetic excuse, I followed my lawyer's advice. I typed out a formal email, sending it to both of them. As of this date, I do not acknowledge paternity. Any fraudulent attempts to list me as the father will face legal consequences. I attached everything, screenshots, call logs, the appointment records for the paternity test they had refused, even the messages showing how they tried to guilt trip me. A full, bulletproof dossier of their lies. It was all there, locked in their inboxes. Then I waited. Less than a day later, Sophia folded. A simple text. Fine. I just stared at the screen, a weight slowly lifting off my shoulders. Days later, a mutual friend told me what Sophia wouldn't. She'd finally gone through with the test. Turned out the baby was Liam's. Just like I'd suspected. Reading that confirmation brought this tidal wave of relief and a bitter flood of anger right behind it. I'd spent weeks fighting to prove what should have been obvious from the start. They had dragged my name through the mud, tried to guilt trip me, and schemed to trap me, knowing full well there was a chance it wasn't mine. Now, finally, they were faced with the truth. But Sophia stayed silent. No apologies. No attempts to clear the air. She got what she deserved. But somehow, I was still painted as the villain. Just when I thought it was over, another text popped up from a mutual friend. Dude, what the hell? You're just going to abandon Sophia while she's pregnant? Just like that. My stomach dropped. It had begun again. I realized right then that while Sophia and Liam couldn't legally force me to take responsibility, they were going to torch my reputation instead. Overnight, I became that guy, the scumbag who walked away from his pregnant fiancée. Didn't matter that I had the proof of their cheating. Didn't matter they had refused the test. They had twisted the story until I was the monster. The calls and texts came flooding in, from family, from friends, even from people I barely knew. How could you do this? She needs you. I thought you were better than this. At first, I wanted to scream, to defend myself, to tell everyone the whole ugly truth. But then I realized being defensive was exactly what they wanted. So instead, I went on the offensive. I started sharing the truth with everyone who reached out. I was done playing the villain in their story. Whenever someone texted me with "How could you?" or "Why did you abandon her?" I laid it out, everything. She cheated on me with my best friend. They refused a paternity test. They tried to trap me. At first, people were shocked. Some didn't believe it. But as I laid out the receipts, screenshots, the appointment confirmations, the messages, the narrative shifted. Suddenly, it wasn't "How could you do this?" anymore. But holy shit, I had no idea. One by one, people began backing away from Sophia and Liam. Their circle shrank fast. Then one night, Liam showed up at my apartment, pounding on the door like he had every right in the world to be there. I stepped out into the hallway, not even letting him cross the threshold. He stood there, jaw tight, eyes burning. "You happy now?" he spat. "You just had to make this a spectacle." I raised an eyebrow. "You mean like how you told everyone I abandoned Sophia?" His hands curled into fists. "You ruined my life, Edwin." I laughed. A hard, bitter laugh. "I ruined your life?" "No, Liam. You did that all by yourself." His voice went low, hateful. "You think you're better than me?" I stepped closer, looking him dead in the eye. "No, Liam. I know I'm better than you. Because I didn't sleep with my best friend's fiancée." He flinched, just a second, but I saw it. That crack in the mask. That guilt. That shame. That pathetic weakness he'd always tried to hide. And in that moment, everything made sense. This wasn't even about Sophia. It was about him, trying to measure up to me and never managing. And when he couldn't, he decided to tear me down instead. I shook my head, dismissing him. "You were never my friend." He sneered. "Yeah? Then what does that make you?" I smiled, calm and final. "The guy who walked away. The guy who didn't get stuck cleaning up your mess. The guy who won." His face twisted in rage, but he didn't swing, didn't lunge, nothing. Just turned and walked away. I stood there until the elevator doors closed behind him, and for the first time in months, I felt a strange sense of peace. That was the last time I ever saw Liam. I walked back in, closed the door, and texted our old group chat. "I'm not the father. Paternity test confirmed it. Ask Liam about the rest." Then I tossed my phone on the couch and walked to the window, ignoring the endless buzz of messages as my words rippled through what was left of our friend circle. In the following weeks, life slowly found its rhythm again. Some friends apologized, some stayed silent, but I didn't care anymore. I was free. Looking back, I never meant for this mess to go public, but I've learned something vital. The truth has a way of crawling out of the shadows, no matter how deep you try to bury it. As for Liam, the second the baby was born, he bailed. No job, no money, no sense of responsibility. He vanished the moment the ink on the birth certificate dried, exactly like I knew he would. Sophia? She had to move back in with her family, desperate, struggling to fix the disaster she created. She thought she could twist everything to secure herself a cushy life, and instead she ended up right where she deserved to be. And me? I'm good. Really good, actually. Focusing on my career, building the life they tried to rip away from me. Yeah, I'm even dating again. Something I never thought I'd be ready for, but here I am, moving forward on my own terms. And yes, I'm definitely changing my locks, just in case. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.